Julia Ainsley is an NBC national security and justice reporter. She is also our eyes and ears inside the Manafort trial. And Harry Litman is a former U.S. attorney and deputy assistant attorney general. Julia, tell us about how both sides made their closing arguments today.
We heard a really firm case from the prosecution. They took an hour and 45 minutes to walk through everything that Paul Manafort did on bank fraud, on tax evasion, and on not giving the information he should have on his foreign bank accounts. The defense really put a lot of their eggs in the basket of discrediting Rick Gates. They wanted to say he is the one who led this double life. He stole from his boss. You can't believe what he's saying. And that they said that the prosecution is actually kind of nitpicking and cobbling together some evidence that they wouldn't have brought otherwise if it hadn't been for the special counsel's office. I said that's the only reason why we're here is because of the special counsel's office. But then there was a rebuttal from the prosecution. And one of the things that they said, Katie, is, look, Rick Gates is not a Boy Scout. We didn't pick him. Paul Manafort did. He picked someone who would do criminal activity because he is a criminal himself. But they said, take everything he said aside, it is consistent with all of the documents we have shown you. Now we're going through the very end of jury instructions. The judge is giving those orally, which is a little unusual and a little problematic because they'll have to go back and listen to everything he said on tape rather than having that in their hands. And then we can expect deliberations to begin sometime tomorrow, Katie.
And how much, Harry, how much is this going to weigh on the entire credibility of the Mueller investigation? If the jury does not come back with a guilty plea, does that discredit the broader investigation? Even if they come back with 17 guilty verdicts and one not guilty verdict, is that going to hurt Robert Mueller?
17-1, I think, will be fine. And there's zero chance here of an acquittal, so that can't happen. The one possibility is, will there be some kind of holdout juror, not based on the evidence, but for some kind of, jury nullification reason? It shouldn't really hurt Mueller, who has come forward with a basically bulletproof case and has proven it. And really, the defense had nothing to counter it with today. But I think so. I think if there is a holdout juror and a mistrial, even though they go immediately back to retrial, it will generally hurt him. And conversely, if there's a solid conviction here, I think it will muffle the cries of witch hunt even further.
Harry, zero chance they're going to come back with an acquittal?
Zero.
Why zero?
Zero. Look, the case is overwhelming. There was a little bit of a mystery at the beginning here. Why is Manafort going forward with such evidence against him? And the answer is, does he have something special up his sleeve? The answer is clearly no. It really was an overwhelming case, and it's so strong on paper. Best line of the day, Greg Andres, the star witnesses here are the documents. The defense then stands up and gives peons to beyond a reasonable doubt standard. The evidence, to all observers, anyone who's watched it from the beginning, is overwhelming. And I think the only possibility, there wouldn't even be more than one or two holdouts. That is the best hope now, however, for Manafort. So there's just no possible road to acquittal.
Interestingly, Rudy Giuliani seemed to suggest last night that Robert Mueller's team has not gotten back on Giuliani's proposal for the scope for a presidential sit-down because they're waiting for the Manafort trial to end. Here's what he said on CNN.
Are you any closer to having a deal with Mueller to sit down?
No. Haven't heard from him in a week.
How do you interpret that?
I think they're waiting for I hate to bring up the case. I think they're waiting for the Manafort case. I think they feel if they win, they're going to be empowered.
I wonder what the government thinks. And by the government, I mean, I wonder what Rudy Giuliani, the president's team of lawyers, think when they watch the Manafort trial, when they get the updates on the Manafort trial and all of the evidence that's been submitted by Mueller's team against Paul Manafort, the 27 witnesses to back up their argument. Do you think, Harry, that that's the sort of thing that would make them nervous?
Sure. I mean, for the reasons I said, and also because it begins to have, at the end of the evidence, a little bit of an inroad into the story of the campaign, because that last loan, remember, is engineered by Manafort's trying to arrange for a position. I should say on the Giuliani point, right, there's no reason at all that Mueller couldn't be discussing it with him. And now we have that artificial deadline coming at September 1st. They couldn't possibly have an interview after that. So I think it's all just meant to gin up an argument that we can't have an interview that's with some excuse other than we don't want to have an interview.
And we will wait and see what happens with this jury.
Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor, subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Meet the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.